Well, Hillary Clinton seems to be needing a history lesson. First off, Paul Revere did not actually make the Midnight Ride. That was a poem written in the 1800s. The same way George Washington did not actually chop down a cherry tree. He did not throw a coin across the river. He did not have wooden teeth. Betsy Ross did not design or sew the first American flag. And of course, although hemp was grown as a commercial crop back in that era, it was not done for smoking purposes. The hemp grown was so weak in THC, there was no way you could have gotten a buzz unless you smoked so much that you were literally asphyxiating yourself. Ms. Clinton also seems to forget that at one point she was a cheerleader for Russia and Russia-American relationships. While pushing that little red button once, she even made a comment about how America and Russia are going to reset their friendship. Her friend Barack Obama even once made that statement before his last election. I'll have more flexibility after the election, while he was kissing Putin's fuzzy bear butt. And as for other things she seems to have forgotten about, she is now calling for a recount, or not exactly a recount, but she essentially wants a redo of the last election because she doesn't like the way some things were done. She forgets that many times during the election she had made the comment, especially to Donald Trump, that no standing president or politician should ever make such comments about needing recounts and not being able to trust the validity of an election. She's forgetting that Al Gore had to wait until the Supreme Court told him the election was over, that there was not going to be any more counting. She's also forgetting that her friend from the Green Party had paid for recounts here in Wisconsin, which now would be illegal because we have since passed laws saying that only the person, in this case Hillary Clinton, would have the authority to ask for a recount, or her party could. And a third party, such as the Green Party, could no longer do it on her behalf. So all her comments about Donald Trump not trusting the election process during the campaign, all her comments about him being unrealistic seems to be falling on her own deaf ears at this point. She also seems to be forgetting about her little Russian conspiracy during the campaign. A big belief at the time was that Bernie Sanders lost the primary in part because of Russian interference. At the time, there was no big investigation into it, and Hillary just kept scoffing that, well, it was no damage done. What possible effect could the Russians have had during the election? So again, she's being a hypocrite, seems to need a little reminding of her own words and her own history here. She's also forgetting that it was her supporters that were violent at Bernie Sanders' campaign rallies and at Trump rallies. Donald Trump's people have never been violent in any sense. Bernie Sanders' people have never been violent. It's always been the Hillary people that have been causing the violence and have ended up becoming the Antifa people today. She also seems to forget how many times Bill Clinton has been involved with women outside of their marriage. Donald Trump made a statement of what he could, not what he did, but what he could have done to various women. Bill Clinton actually did these things and worse. This is something Hillary needs to be reminded about. She also seems to forget no one died during or because of Watergate, because of the Anthony Weiner Gate, for those that remember that, or very few other political conspiracies or anything that was going on in the past few years. Many people have died because of her Benghazi problems. Many people have been associated to her that have died in various different ways under suspicious reasons. She seems to forget that her history is pretty bloody itself. She needs to remember that she did some very illegal things with the routers, with her little blackberries and other things that she knew, she was told. They have proven she knew she was doing wrong. She did not care. She needs to finally stop blaming everyone else for her losses. She needs to face history, pay attention to the facts, and just get on with her life. Let the president, for better or worse, do what he has to do. It's his job, not hers. No one's putting her in office anytime soon. Before the last election, I still considered myself a Democrat. I was a big fan of Bill Clinton when I was younger, when he ran for president. But in light of all the stuff that they've done over the years, there's no way in heaven or hell I could ever in clear conscience vote for either of them for anything ever again. She needs to just accept that people have caught on to the Clintons, their nastiness, how they've used funds from their charity to pay for Chelsea's wedding, how they've mismanaged all these funds, how they've tried to rip off the White House on the way out by taking things that were supposed to go into historic, however they word it. Because if a diplomat or a dignitary from another country gives the president a present, for instance, it is not the president's property. It is considered the country's property. They do not get to take it home with them. And despite being informed about that, they did try bringing many things home. That's why if you ever hear the comment about how the Clintons tried to steal the White House silverware, that was because I believe it was the Queen of England that gave them a set of sterling silverware that they decided to take home with them, despite being told not to. So yes, Hillary Clinton, she is very badly informed on history. She is mismanaging a lot of things. She is flat out lying on some things. And to top it off, she doesn't even seem to understand that George Orwell's book, 1984, was against people like her, not for her. The big quote was, "Those who control the past control the future. Those who control the future control the present." And that's exactly what she and her left-wing people are doing these days. With George Soros, Antifa, all this stuff about destroying statues, monuments, and everything from the Civil War and other eras, Columbus statues, that is not going to actually change the past, but is going to force people to talk about it differently, to change the past artificially. It won't do it in fact, but that doesn't seem to matter. So, Ms. Clinton, all I could say is I hope you are never put in office. You have become a very horrible person, and you've actually made me a Trump supporter, even though I do not trust the man. So, thank you very much for. Oh, and one other thing I should mention too, even though no one did die in, I think I did cover it about, no one died in Watergate, but they did with her. So, thank you for watching. If you like or dislike, please click the right button below. Feel free to subscribe. Leave any comments that you would like. And if you support this video or any that I've been doing, I am at Patreon at 50-Year-Old Gamer. Thank you.